Hey, I'm Joe.
And I'm Sal, and you're watching Better Together with Maria Menounos. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, y'all.
Hey everybody, welcome to Better Together with Maria Menounos. As you can tell, I am not Maria Menounos. I'm Mr. Maria Menounos. Very proud to be Mr. Maria Menounos. Maria is still convalescing and on the mend. In the meantime, we'll start with the quote of the day. Friendship is the hardest thing in the world to explain. It's not something you learn in school, but if you haven't learned the meaning of friendship, you really haven't learned anything. And what really blew me away about this quote was that it was stated by Muhammad Ali. And I never saw him as the guy that would ever talk about friendship in that way. And how this ties into today's show is with our guests, Sal Vulcano and Joe Gatto of course, Impractical Jokers in the upcoming the current game show, Misery Index. But when I think of two great friends and four great friends with these people working together and how they've turned this friendship into success, I can't think of a more accurate quote. Sal Vulcano and Joe Gatto are comedians, actors, and producers who most, if not all of you, know from the hit TV series Impractical Jokers, as well as the game show Misery Index. The duo have been friends since high school, along with their Practical Joker castmates James Murray and Brian Quinn. Each came from humble beginnings, attending college, pursuing various studies well outside anything show business related. Post-college, the foursome reconnected to begin doing skits in their parents' basement. Today, their show may be the most televised show in all of TV. However, that's not their most amazing accomplishment. The most amazing thing about this foursome is that they have found a means to hit the highest levels of comedy without being mean-spirited. On top of that, they are probably the most universally beloved talents in all of show business, with recognition and fans globally. And on top of that, they figured out a means as friends to be successful partners in business. Their comedy has been healing to my wife Maria post-brain tumor surgery, and surely to so many during this pandemic. Heal Squad, please give a warm Better Together welcome to Sal Vulcano and Joe Gatto. Hi, guys.
Wow, here we are.
Yeah.
Bro.
We made it.
Wow.
Who are those guys he's talking about? I want to meet those guys. Those are nice guys.
All of that is true, and it's incredible. And you guys have been such great friends to Maria from day one. And just, God, it's like, talk about people who are, they always say be authentic, but from I knowing you guys off camera, that's really what comes through. And I think that's why people love you guys.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you,
We are always, it's always nice to talk to you guys and talk with friends, because that's what it always feels like when we speak to you and Maria. But it's it really is just great to be able to do this all together as friends too. So we're very fortunate for sure.
You know, as you guys, your story, and I know you've told the story many times, you know, these were guys who went to college and did different things after high school. They were friends in high school. They reconnect. They start doing skits in one of their parents' basement, and off they go and eventually land in this position. Are you guys seeing all these TikTok stars that are basically doing the same thing right now with the pandemic? And are you following them and thinking of, God, that was kind of you guys back in the day?
Yeah, I mean, I equate, I'm a TikTok guy. I love TikTok. And I actually equate it to very early MySpace. I talk about this often about how it, out of all the platforms for me, it has the most sense of community, where I don't find it that true about like Twitter or Instagram. That feels way more vacuous. Like it feels like you're kind of by yourself, putting up your own content and people are watching. But there's a lot of, I think maybe it's just even with, there's the thing that you could do called duet, where you basically just put together you watching somebody else's content, and that's another way it could go. And it reminds me of how like MySpace, and Sal could attest to this, that was basically a comedy community for us. Like that was like a group of, we met a lot of good comedian friends through there, people trying to do the same thing. And that's what I really equate TikTok to. And I think at the time of the pandemic, it's really where people were looking for a way to connect. And I think TikTok just came in like lightning.
And I think it allowed filmmakers or young artists to kind of want the middleman too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Sure.
Yeah, there's something about, like, I don't know what, like, one of the podcasts I do, I had a clip go viral on TikTok like in the last few weeks. So I'm just like kind of getting the scope of how quickly that can happen, to what degree. I guess they're like, the way they have their shareability features on there and make stuff catch like wildfire, which I think like the more we progress with social media, I think that's kind of the intent. And I don't know, it's like, you're right. Even now on like something like Twitter or Instagram, it just feels like, I don't know, the speed at which people are consuming, viewing, and sharing is all just being amplified. I think TikTok is because it was Snapchat, which I never did, and now TikTok. But it's like, it's almost like kind of undeniable. Like if you want to stay, involved and you want to promote stuff the simplest, most effective way, it's like if you're not joining it, it seems like you might be doing yourself a disservice. So like at first I wasn't really on it because it's just like, for me, it's like another app.
Another thing.
Okay, did I post it there? Did I post it there? Did I post it there? You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't have the time, but now it's like, you see the shift in momentum and you're like, all right, I should at least have something so that at the very least, if people are going there looking for me, they can find me. And it's just not my content being shared by other people. You know what I mean? So I joined recently and I've been real surprised at like how viral things can go very quickly. It's kind of wild. It used to be like you had to create something that really, really grab people's attention, like almost like it had to be unbelievable to go viral or so specific and unique. And now it's kind of just like if you touch on something that's relatable, it can go viral. Just being relatable, it's the bar has come down as to like how people share things. And I don't mean that necessarily in a bad way. I just mean it as the dynamic is changing about how people use this stuff. And so, like
it's not strictly entertainment, like and stuff. Like my wife does a lot. She follows a lot of like TikTok mental health, like therapy people.
Yeah,
where that's all her followers. Like for me, it's like comedians and there's a bunch. I'm like into the Marvel stuff, so there's some like Marvel fan theory stuff I follow. But it's so funny to see what people's followers are too, because literally everybody's on there. Sal's right. It's not just about like, because even like Vine, which is kind of the closest thing it was equated to because of the format, it was like that was all comedy. It was all just like, basically, 95% of that, all that was comedy. But here it's really just like a baking tips. Like I learned how to make a awesome vegan quesadilla and like I found a fun dance and like I learned about push-ups, like all in one scrolling session, so you really do learn about a lot.
The craziest thing that happened for us with you speak of mental health and Better Together and all even the podcast. And this is something I never intended, but this clip that I was speaking about that went viral, it was about just my buddy mispronounced the word Tupperware. He thought it was called Tupperware. And we were in the middle of a regular conversation. And I was like, what did you just say? And he's like, Tupperware. And I'm like, no, it's Tupperware. And then we just got into this it was nothing, right? It was nothing. Yeah. So some reason, I guess many people make that mistake. So this thing goes kind of viral, which is, I guess, not that easy. I mean, not that hard. I think if you ask like a lot of even the regular people on TikTok now, it's like not that hard for just a teenager to go viral with something, you know what I mean? But what happened was people took it and co-opted it, and now they started dubbing over the voice. And so they do their voice, but then they subtitle it kind of what they really mean. And our conversation about Tupperware and Tupperware somehow became linked to like this, I don't know if you want to call it a meme or a trend, where people are using it to come out, like, or at least in jest, but to come out to family and friends. Wow. So like when I can't really explain it, but when they're dubbing over our voices, they're like saying stuff like, oh no, I'm trans or I'm gay. And then when I'm like, no, it's Tupperware. And they're like, I don't know. They did this whole thing and it became this trend about young people identifying their sexuality to friends and family when they haven't done it before. And if you click on it now, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. And it was like, wow, like one thing just became it was really powerful to see that like something like that can be taken and used in a way that you didn't mean it. And then like just become something completely of its own. It's
so far, it's like, I feel like we haven't seen the negative side of it yet. I feel like for me, Twitter's just too toxic. So I don't do Twitter. Instagram maybe can be, but I look for the things like your wife, that interest me. But so far TikTok seems like it is a positive place. Hopefully it stays that way. And I'll say with you guys, again, to your credit, what I think is so aspirational is your positivity, because I will tell you guys, many of the comedians your age are were angry at TikTok in the way that actors were angry at reality stars like 20 years ago. there's so much resentment and bitterness. That's not funny. Where you're saying, hey, we're lowering the bar, but okay, it's cool. Like more people, but I see such an, and you probably see it too from some of your contemporaries, but you guys, I mean, like, are you aware of how positive you guys are? Comedy's a dark world, ironically.
Yeah.
It could be cynical, especially like stand up. I guess we're lucky though, because we found success already and we found it later in life. So, I mean, from where I'm sitting, I could understand someone who's really clawing and still trying to get their name out there, and then see someone like, just, whatever they do, like, like kind of like the lowest form of comedy, because it's open to everyone, kids and this and that. And it's just like some lighthearted stuff that's like really not like, hard to do. And then all of a sudden it's like 50 million. I could see people like the takeaway being like, well, here I am like working at like what I try to think is this like elevated material. I get it, but that's not our demeanor to begin with.
No, it's not. And I also think I enjoy, it's great that you even have empathy for those old guys, but I know, but a lot of times I was just saying this the other day to Kelsey, a lot of times when middle-aged people make it in our business, they're actually more ravenous, more desperate, more clawing.
Clock's ticking. Yeah.
And,
for sure.
And again, you haven't suffered from that. When we think of like, I'd like to think on paper, I'd love to be able to work with my friends and my family. I think that's a lot of people's dreams. And what's been the secret to being able to work together as friends, successful for so long?
I think a lot of it is it definitely boils down to communication for sure. But I think a big part of it is it's kind of like Sal could definitely attest to this, because I'm definitely a telephone game. Like if you need something to be said, sometimes it's not best coming from you. So you lean on one of your other best friends to bring it up. So I think things are all taken differently from each of us. So like if you need something to be brought up, that it might be best coming from Q or coming from me or coming from her, or coming from Sal. So we would kind of like talk one-on-one to bring up stuff to the group. But also we've been friends such a long time. We really, we're brothers at this point, 30 years of friendship, it's insane. So really know each other on a level to work both personality wise, which has nothing to do with creativity and business partnership. Then we have the business partnership kind of relationship. And then we have the hardest one, in my opinion, is the creativity, because we work on comedy, which is so subjective and what's funny and whatnot. So I think that's kind of like, it's definitely a challenge, but I think we've had enough time to get used to it.
So what do you think the secret is?
He touched on it. I mean, it's just like navigating a relationship, really. You have to manage every relationship you have in your life. I think that we're lucky that we got to go through this together, and that kind of like, this is the mothership. We have all of our satellite projects and even other shows and stuff like that. But this is kind of the one from which all the other ones kind of flow. And so we know that this is important. It was like trial by fire. Like when we got this show in 2010, we didn't know how to make a show. We didn't know how TV worked. We had to learn all that together. It was like sink or swim. And then, of course, getting an opportunity like that is like winning the lottery, and you don't want to squander it. And so we understand that like we're very lucky to be here. And then, we have to do at all costs. We have to learn how to make this work no matter what. We don't want it to go away. We don't want to give it up. We want it to thrive, and we want to leave our mark and everything. So with that comes, we all understand the responsibility it takes. And part of that is managing our expectations and our relationships with each other. So before anything goes sour, we're always going to have our best interests at heart, first and foremost for each other. We make decisions we make even our business decisions first based on our personal decisions. So we really take into account our feelings and emotions on things, because that's kind of what gets things muddy. When ego or emotion or feelings get involved, sometimes that can cloud every other judgment that comes beyond it. So we pick it up first from a place of making sure we're all okay. We all understand each other. We're all happy. And if one of us has an issue, we work on that first. We become like a unified front, and then we go forward to make the business decisions, because we actually have to navigate sometimes 100 decisions a day in a democratically, yeah, and fast. So you got to learn how to do that. It's like anything else.
You guys actually take a vote? Do with this?
Yeah.
And there's 4 of us, so sometimes it's a 50-50, and we've literally on big deals flipped a coin. Yeah. Like we were just like, two of us didn't want to do it. 2 of us did. Like there was one of our, like when we do our live tour, there was a weekend that was like, we didn't want to do back-to-back weekends or whatever, or something had come up, and it was like in a big arena show. And we literally were 2 and 2 on it. And we were like, you know what, let's flip a coin. And our manager's like, you're going to flip a coin? You're like, yeah, that's the only fair way to do it. And we flipped a coin.
You got to know that you're going to win some and lose some.
Yeah.
And you have to, and you do. And some you win and some you lose. And it's better to just kind of like understand that it's par for the course for us and get past it than to like harp on something else. Because something's coming down the pike right away soon again. And you're going to be in the same situation.
So don't take it take things to heart, right?
I think Sal hit on something too, where the emotion and the friendship definitely has the driver's seat in all the decision making we make. And I'll say that I don't think that's true with a lot of our business is not treated like a business first. It's more of a friendship first, where we're making, where we're working together to create stuff. But I think we always first like, all right, let me put myself in somebody else's shoes. So you're not afraid to speak up if you're uncomfortable. You're not afraid to be like, guys, this is not right for me kind of deal. So I think that definitely there's a nurturing aspect to being the one voice and it's treated with respect.
It's brilliant because when you think about the Rolling Stones apparently don't really talk. The Who has had problems. And, I felt like I saw the documentary on Monty Pythons, they seem like they're pretty okay with each other, but most of these groups kind of, like it's almost like a love affair, a relationship. At some point, it just burns itself out.
Yeah.
And it's incredible that you guys have been going this long and are still going that strong. And was there ever a moment where you consciously went into it and said, we heard Abbott and Costello did not like each other, or do you know what I mean? Like that we really need to work at this, or did it just happen naturally?
We've had some ebbs and flow. We had our ups and downs in the past. There's been times where we've come to like a boiling point that we really had to like stop and maybe kind of rework the way that we approach things. We've been there, but again, we kind of already know that we have to get it done. You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess it really does help that we were friends first. And it really does help that I think that we got this opportunity somewhat a little bit later when we were a little bit more, you never are, but a little bit more sure of who you are, what you want and what you're about and things like that. So that all played into it. I think of it too, but I mean, we've come this far. I think you never know, but I think we've navigated through as hard as we would have to.
Yeah, the pitfalls.
I think we're kind of on the side of it now where I don't think any of us think there's nothing that we can't get through. I think that we continue to do the show if we're having fun, but I don't think that the show would end from something other than that.
All right. Do we have a Yoko Ono?
Not on this call. No. No, we have, I would say, moments of sharing that role where like sometimes, because true, the other thing that happens is that life happens, right? If you think about this, the show started 10 years ago, right? And I was the only one that had like a real serious girlfriend at the time, I think, right? And I had recently just got engaged, I think. And now if you look at our lives where there's there's families and children's and relationships and all this stuff that happens, like we've become grown men in a sense, inside of all this. So now there's other stuff that's pulling on us in a way that even didn't happen. Real life gets in the way, even like the pandemic and the way the world's falling apart and the way we're all reacting to it and having to come together with our families and whatnot. And I think that really is the one thing that's really we've adapted throughout this whole career of this decade on TV. It's really like we've become different people over 10 years is a long time to try to adjust through this whole and navigate these waters. So
and that to me is what's incredible, because like think of a lot of rock bands, they all started as friends. We're all buddies in high school jamming together, and then it happens, and then like I said, it peters out. Do you guys still hang out socially, or is the social really the work because you're having so much fun?
Both. I mean, look, we do. If we're down, if there was no pandemic and we were on a hiatus, we'd be hanging out. I mean, not every single day, but that's not even a thing. Like we totally still hang out. But when we're in full on production now, between all the different shows and the different touring and stuff, we're with each other to the point where it's like,
it's enough.
No, but we still roll up into a town. We have a show that night and we'll go get lunch, go shopping, and go to a movie before the show. Sometimes after the show. No, we still hang out. I mean, what's the whole point? We all want to be here. You know, like what we're showing on television isn't like put on. So it's helpful. It's an easy question to answer. It's like the reason we're still on the air and the reason that hopefully the fun that we're having is translating is because it's genuine, you know?
It's genuine. That's what I see. In high school, were you guys the class clowns? Or you were the wallflowers like you see a lot of successful people?
I don't think we were class. I wouldn't classify any of us as class clowns. We all did improv comedy together in our high school. I went to an all boys Catholic high school, so there's a lot of like male bonding, you know. But Sal and I had lunch, and I used to make Sal, you know, laugh all the time as hard as I do now at lunch. Around that lunch table, we've had some of our hardest laughs, you know. But
That's
I think we were in.
So you wouldn't say you were a class clown, because I don't think Q or Murrah were, but I always thought that people put me in that bucket. I in grammar school, I think I was. High school, I think maybe not in college. I don't know. I always felt like I was not like disrupt kind of way.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
But like I was.
You like to make people laugh for sure.
I carried that role. Yeah.
What's it like? Because you guys are you've stayed grounded, and I relate to that. So as someone who has remained grounded, what is it like when you see friends from high school now?
Oh, I don't talk to those as.
Well, here's the thing, because you're still in New York, so I'm sure you bump into them. You know, it's I'm in LA, so I don't see anybody.
Yeah,
you know,
I'll say this
I
about
still have
Sal.
I have all my same friends.
Sal is the most friendly guy in the world. I'll put him up against anybody. Sal has the most good to best friends out of any human being I've ever seen in my life. That man maintains relationships like nobody.
It's hard.
I know from professional wrestlers to be like, oh, I'm buddies with Sal. I'm like,
yeah,
what? Like I hear it all the time. By the way, I love that. That's just that's the spirit.
Well, Sal's got that. Sal gives off that aura. You want to be friends with Sal. Sal is the funniest and friendliest guy I know. I've said it my whole life. Nothing about TV. It's just he's always made me laugh the hardest, and he's just something about his personality that gravitates to that. That's why America loves him. We call him, as a joke, we call him America's sweetheart, Sal Vulcano, because he is like our, yeah.
All right, I'm loving this. I'll take it. No, yeah, it's, you know, I don't know, man. Is it like you said about with staying grounded? I don't know where it really comes from. It's the most important thing, I think.
Yeah. Do you think?
Absolutely.
It discourages me sometimes because I feel like you have to be born with it. And I hate that because I'd like to think that's something you could aspire to, but I feel like, what do you think? You're either born with that or not?
It's really a tough one. I don't know if we got it from like, I don't know, like how we were brought up or who we kept company with, but it is unfortunate. You see people either lose their way or they were never equipped to be in the public, and you kind of see people that maybe don't make the best decisions with it and stuff. I don't know. I just don't think.
I will say, I think the four of us going through it together helped, right? Because
yeah,
there's an aspect of all of it there where people can't relate to you. Your friends, you lose your friends because they can't relate to you. Like Justin Bieber's friends when he was 14 years old, right? Then all of a sudden he skyrockets and he becomes this, right? And then he has to try to bring these kids along that just don't even understand what's happening. The difference with us is that the four of us like went through it all together. So you have a built-in support system of all the highs and lows, right? When you're on Madison Square Garden stage and there's an arena that you can't believe you sold out, you turn, look left and right, and your best friends are there. You're not telling them about it. You're living it together. So I think there's part of that definitely helped. There's a built-in support structure that everybody understands, that your best friends understand what you're going through, which I don't think a lot of people get. We're very fortunate with that.
Selling out Madison Square Garden.
Also, I don't know if it's an East Coast thing maybe or something like that, but like, I'm not really that special. You know what
I don't know.
I think, know what?
I'm just saying, we're all just people. Everybody got to calm down a bit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'm like that. And I mean, I think you're right. There is an East Coast thing. Mm-hmm. For me, my college friends are my best friends, like this, like 30 of us, and we're all brothers. And yeah, but I see where other people can get far away, and I'm sad for them, because I think you want to be with the people if you can that you came up with. How your parents, all this, like I I can only imagine, and again, I'm Italian American myself. I can only imagine how they feel about their kids being on TV every day around the clock, and then selling out Madison Square Garden. Can you tell me how your parents have been with all this?
Good, Sal.
Oh, what's that grin for?
Oh, because mine are dead, and this is the point of the point of it where I'd always say, "Well, my parents are dead. Thanks for bringing it up."
Did they?
Sal
Oh
is
my
waiting
God.
for me to say that.
So Joe, because my father's gone, long decades and decades ago, and I really empathize. Maria's mother's very sick right now,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry. Did they get to? They didn't get to see you.
My mom my mom was the guest of honor, I would say, at Sal, at the season premiere. She was around for the first 2 seasons, and she was like the group mom, which is kind of fun. She treated everybody like sons, especially Sal. Like, she really connected with Sal and loved him, and it was great to have her there. But we get to actually use Sal's family the most in the show, and Sal's dad is
I know he's
amazing. Yeah,
but going back to, it's so great your mom got to see it. My dad never got to see any of my success, and I think you hear the cliche, they're with you, they see it. I actually believe they do, but it's hard. Is it hard with your dad not being able to see it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's it. But to be honest, like, even more, I miss him now as a parent, as like a father. Like, that's where more of the questions come with, because my dad was like a vice president of an insurance company, so I don't know how much he would even relate to any of this stuff. Sure, there's a proud factor, but he was, I lost him when I was 18, 19, just turned 19. And he was, now I'm a dad, and there's so many more dad questions I'd have for him, because he was, according, I had the greatest guy in the world. Right. So, like, it's like, that's when I really realized I missed him more, as opposed to being able just to see me on TV kind of stuff. So
yeah, because no one's, and I always say, no one's gonna love you like a parent. So I empathize. And
well, you touched on something with Joe. The thing that why we laugh right away is because it's one of Joe's funniest go-to things, because it even if it doesn't come up, Joe, I guess, has made such peace with it. Like, even him, his family, and us, he jokes about it all the time. And one of his favorite things to do is on any interview, like any and every interview, especially the biggest stage. Like, if we're on like on a television show, or no matter what it is, like a bit like a late night show or a red carpet, Joel just grab the mic and talk about how his parents have passed on. And he on purpose, he makes the host feel so uncomfortable, and it just gets me a shade of red laughing so hard. He does it on the show all the time. It's just, when you said that, it was just like, you didn't know what you
walked right into it.
It's a thing that we celebrate. It's like, we love Joe's parents, and Joe's this is a go-to thing. So that's why I started laughing right away, because usually the host or whatever, or who we're speaking to, isn't like our close person, like a friend of ours.
Right.
So he doesn't even explain past that. He just makes it really comfortable.
By the way, I'm so tempted to edit it out, because Maria is going to be, because she's so big on research, we had a lot of tech issues today, but wow. Now talk about your dad.
My pop. It's like probably one of my favorite things about having the shows on TV is that he gets to come on, because I know how much he loves it.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, every time he gets to come on, I'm like, this is such a unique experience. How many people, can be with their dad in a capacity on TV like this, where you're like kind of showing our relationship, and he's part of the universe of the show and part of the fun I'm having, or our families, really, all of our families, not just my dad. So, it doesn't get old,
The joke that we make about Sal's dad is that he looks better than all of us, and he should be the one that's on TV.
So it's like such a dream. You working with your best friends, and even be able to bring your family in.
Yeah. We've used my daughter on the show, so I've been able to be the dad on the show, which has been really fun. My daughter, she's a little firecracker. I love her, and to be able to have my daughter on the show has been super cool too.
Have you guys had, when I think of the other comedians out there, we're going back to the ones that are salty, let's say, Have you dealt with jealousy from any of those guys or girls, in comedy? Like, would you still even go to those kind of clubs, like, improv or like the Comedy Cellar? Do you do any of that stuff?
Yeah, Sal performs on the regular as a stand-up now too, and I mean, in the beginning, I just think a lot of people just didn't get it, like didn't get our story, because like we were built in the beginning as four friends, pulling pranks on each other, which is not what our show is at all. As you know, it's a show about friendship and that we are real comedians. So I think in the beginning it was like, oh, who are these guys coming up and doing this stuff? And then we started touring and having these big shows and stuff. So. But then once people got to know us and know our story, I think all that really went away, that they saw, oh, these guys are like comedians that are putting together a comedy show that's doing it, right, Sal? I think that's kind of...
I thought we had, out of the gate, I was actually shocked at the impressive amount of support from comedians, actually. I knew a lot of them I was in that world already a little bit. And so I would get feedback, and I just was like actually pleasantly surprised at how much people took to the show.
I've heard good things from other comedians about you guys, which surprised me because,
I know what you mean. That's why I was pleasantly surprised. But I mean, there's always like an element of maybe like things that you don't hear, but to me and from what has come to me and to my face, it's been largely very extremely supportive, actually. And we get to give back too, because we tour and we bring comics with us, and we do this annual like comedy festival, so to speak, on a cruise, and we book 15 comics a year for that, for a week-long gig. And so we've done that 4 times. I love giving work to friends and to other comics. So that's actually one of the best parts about it too. So I think we're pretty involved and ingratiated into the stand-up community, at least. I'm there, I do, like Joe mentioned, aside from the pandemic, I'd be at the Cellar or the Stand or New York Comedy Club or the Gotham a few nights a week, every week.
It's just such a testament that you can have the spirit you have in that world, because I don't see it in the other comics. And I remember going back to MySpace when Dane Cook exploded on MySpace. He took a ton of lashings from other comics, from the older guard. And by the way, Dice, ironically, was the one who went and stuck up for him. Said, guys, you're all just jealous. But even that, you guys have found a way, I think, through the gifts that you have. I don't think it's luck. I think it's really special. And I just hope it's something that other people can aspire to. I hope it is genuinely who you guys are. But what I'm hearing is the authenticity. I'm hearing about it always goes back to the friendship. And I think there's giving back, right? Giving back to other comedians. I think that comes back to you too. But man, I wouldn't, in the writing world, when I was in the writing business, and it's stuff I could have learned from myself. To say that much. What are the comedy that you guys liked growing up?
Oh man, so many different things.
Yeah.
It's funny, like the things that influenced me the most when I was younger might not be typical of what you'd think. I was very influenced by, I've spoken about this before, but very influenced by sitcoms and television. Well, Letterman was huge for me from a young age. Letterman and Stern were 2 big influences for me from a young age. But when I go young, it was like watching Jeffersons in syndication with my grandparents and loving Sherman Hemsley and his
amazing.
And just trying to imitate those people for my family and getting laughs. And I would even do that in school and get laughs. And then just being around funny people. My grandfather, my dad's dad, was really funny and a great storyteller, and just little things like that. And then when I got a little older and I saw the big ones for me were Bill Cosby himself, which was a real seminal special. And then, or Eddie, believe it or not, my dad let me watch Eddie Murphy. So Delirious and Raw, we had them on VHS, and he just let me watch them. So I just was I started to get into stand-up comedy really, really young, but just my love for it really young.
What about sketch performers? I mean, as far as any of the troops, were any of the troops that you?
I mean, SNL's king, dream about that. And then In Living Color was big when I was little.
For sure, yeah.
And then I used to love those shows, and you just dream about getting on those. I used to write SNL sketches, you know. at home, you know.
Mr. Show, right? Mr. Show was a big one too.
Oh,
Yeah,
Mr. Show.
loved Mr. Show.
Good.
Yeah, but I was big in comedy. Like I loved movies too. Like Mel Brooks for me is for hands down probably the Zucker, David Zucker, The Airplane, and all those kind of movies really stuck out for me. And then I think a big influence growing up, even in the dynamic, was Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn. Sal and I were, kind of aspired to that dynamic of funny friend being directed by his funny friend kind of deal, like the vibe they gave off in the beginning with Swingers and Maid and stuff like that.
They need to come back together because Maid was great too. Like
Maid's my favorite one. Yeah, I love Maid. Yeah, I used to watch it all the time.
Later on, that was big because we were trying to make short films and stuff, and their story and their like journey, those two together, there was always like something exemplary. Even the guys in Sunny, they're all like our age, and they kind of DIY'd it and stuff. And I look up to them big time. Yeah. I'm trying to just think of like, everyone that kind of influenced us in that way. When I got a little bit older, I guess in my like maybe mid 20s or late 20s, I forget. Stella was a really big comedy troupe for me. That's Michael Ian Black, Mike Showalter, and David Wayne. They were on. They were in a larger troupe called The State on MTV when I was like really young.
That's right. Yeah.
And then they did this like 3-man kind of absurdist sketch, and they influenced me a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you try to take what these people, like the stuff you see, and like kind of do something different, but when you first start, you can't help but emulate, the people that you like the most,
Such a wide range. Let's talk about the new show, because I know that's what you guys are promoting. And what a premise. Did the show come out of, was it BBC or did they just do it here, Kelsey? I know because you're a fan.
Misery Index. Yeah,
Misery Index.
Yeah, they did it. They did it here. We actually got cast for it, which was really cool. So TBS acquired the rights to this card game, and they made the Misery Index game show. It started as a board game, a card game that got played. And by Andy Breckman was the guy who created it. And they actually were looking for talent for the show. So they basically were looking for people to play along with contestants. And our name came up. And I think one of the coolest auditions we ever did, we don't really audition. So they were like, hey, let's see if the guys like it. So we had a meeting in Midtown Manhattan in this conference room, and we just played the game. And it was the 4 of us playing with 2 of the producers. And we laughed as hard as we could, just like it was what in our wheelhouse. Like we struck lightning in a bottle with jokers, because it's really embarrassment comedy is the way we make each other laugh. This is really us making each other laugh. The other thing that we do in our relationship, which is always fun, is we debate stupid topics ad nauseum. And that's what that show is. Basically, you're just debating what you think is, worse between 2 absurd topics. So it was like, oh, we could do this too. This is fun. This is a good fit. It didn't feel put on. It didn't feel like us acting. So we're like, oh, this is really great. So we actually been fortunate enough they put us together with Jamila Jamil, who's amazing and such a great talent to work with, and kind of keeps us in check when we get a little crazy and long-winded. Sal's got to take his vitamins.
That's true.
And then now we're in season 3. We're back, and we love to be on TV now Tuesdays and Thursdays with 2 different shows, especially now when the world needs it.
Oh, exactly. And I will say I know so many people who binge on the jokers we do in this house, his mom being sick sometimes, where she's kind of coming in and out. I just put it on because we just know it's on in the background, and, it really just, I don't know. It's going to seem like a strange analogy, but you know how Goodfellas comes on and you can't, you always watch it no matter what scene.
We're the Goodfellas of comedy. We're the Goodfellas of comedy.
It's the same thing with jokers. It's like, huh? What? Oh, when he just woke up. It's like, I every time it goes on, I'm like, oh, damn, like an hour just went by. It's such a great show.
it sucks the time right from you.
No.
Before you know it, you're like, I had to get right. No, I know. No, they play it a lot. And so I think that we hear that's a lot of people's experiences. They just kind of have it on. I remember like a lot of people telling us like, oh, I go to sleep to it. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, the more people that tell me that, I'm wondering if that's a good thing.
No, you know what?
Like, we put people to bed.
No, it is because it's something fun and joyful. I know, okay, so it's ridiculous, but last night I was watching The Crown, and I'm a history major.
Oh, I heard
so I
good things.
wanted to see the accuracies and stuff. And it was pretty intense and heavy drama. And I did not have a very good night's sleep because of it. And I think that, because we had Dr. Oz on a couple of weeks ago, and I violate just about everything he said about getting good sleep. But one of them is he said to, don't do anything. But I think if you're going to do something, it's something positive. So it actually makes sense. You'd wake up with a smile. Certainly if a lot of times when we would get up, I know Maria had one job in Hollywood that was really toxic and she hated. And we started putting it on just in the morning, getting ready. Mm-hmm. And it made a difference, rather than like the morning shows or the news, we just put it on and it's like, kind of just sets you.
I watch it on the treadmill.
We keep you going. We keep you moving. We keep you moving. Yeah. We actually heard that a lot. And I don't think that got lost on us because we heard that early on, right? So because we did meet and greets with fans in the beginning, like after our shows, and we would just want to meet everybody because we were so like taken back by just like the being able to be a part of people's lives in the middle of like Iowa. Like it was just insane to us. And we heard really early on, like people would hit us with these things that they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. I watch you all the time. I don't have a relationship with my family and you're the one, or, I've gone through a sickness or, I had a heavy loss and all these things. And it was like, oh, wow. We're like kind of like there was a therapeutic comedy thing that came at us, which we weren't expecting because we were just having fun making a TV show. So it was like kind of like this thing that didn't get lost on us at all. It was like, oh, this is really, really cool thing that we're able to do with our comedy. So that's so nice always to hear that we could do that, especially for our friends.
Joe, I don't think it's a coincidence that you have 9 rescue babies. Tell me, is that something you and your wife have always, and you with kids? That's crazy.
I know. Tell me about it.
How does that work?
It's a little insanity. It's good though. It's like a pack mentality. You just got to train 3 or 4 of them and the rest will follow. So it's good. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she introduced me to rescue a while ago. We bought our first dog together, Cannoli. And then she had a lot of health issues. And like right out of the gate, I was like $4,000 in the hole. And then when we started doing research with like all these puppy mills and all this and all these shelter dogs that are out there that need adoption, we were like, oh, let's start doing this. And we rescued our first one, Biscotti, and I fell in love. Mm-hmm. And it's just been kind of a thing from there that I've gone through 12 dogs at this point. And then I currently have 9. And it's just super rewarding. And I love it. It's kind of addictive, actually.
It is. We've had the peak we had was 7. But we didn't have children and they all had health issues. And, we were talking off air about how to manage it. But I can't think of anything better during the pandemic to have a baby. I mean, like this is Winnie that we rescued years ago. And this is her.
She's ridiculous.
She is snoring right now. I mean, but I can tell you that it's so calming to have, and I say to adopt because the dogs you adopt, I swear to God, they're more grateful.
100%.
Right?
I agree with that.
They almost know that, and it is responsibility. So I understand if you don't have the time, but I always say to people, like, if you have the time and a little bit of the means, like you're robbing yourself to not have a companion animal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sal, you have nothing? No baby?
At this moment, I do not. I had dogs growing up. My dad has a dog right now. My sister has a bunch of cats. I look forward to when I have the space to getting a couple of dogs actually.
But it's hard when you move on the move. No, I get it. No shame from here.
He just comes and visits me.
Yeah, plays with noise. Well, but the hardest part, Joe, is the saying goodbye, and that. Along with the death of my father and probably Maria's mother's diagnosis, when I've had to part ways, they're the most painful days of my life. And the last one was, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago. Maria and I, every day or every other day, we talk about him. And I just said to Maria, like, it's not easier. This is how many times I've had to do it. So that's what's really hard.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Sal's
not looking forward to that part of it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, but Joe, how do you handle it?
I like Sal said earlier, I have a very healthy relationship with death. Like I just, it's part of life for me. So yeah, it is. And a lot of it, like I said to you, I think it's going to be harder with like Cannoli or Biscotti or some of the dogs, because the ones that I've had to, it was time for them to go. They were all ones I rescued at a senior level. So I only had them. We laugh like I have a rotating spot. So like when it gets
Yeah,
empty
we
by
used
somebody,
to-
like we get
Yeah,
the older
we
one,
used to
right?
have the spot. Yeah.
Yeah,
always.
so I don't have, none of the ones that I've had, but now I have cannoli, biscotti. I had them 8 years. Like, it's a long time to have the dog. So it's going to be a little interesting when that time comes. But funny you should mention, because when we were filming Jokers in season 9, I legitimately, right before my turn, I got a phone call and my wife was like, "Hey, Pignoli is having seizures. They say it's time for her to go. We have to put her down." So I was like, "Okay." So my wife told me on the phone, and then and they're like, "Joe, they're ready for you." And I turned to Sal. I'm like, "They just put my dog down." And so I was like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry." And I was like, "I guess I'll go be funny now." And then we just all like bust out laughing together, like you're with your family. Like that's a perfect example of like the relationship we all have,
So
and when did it? So
admirable quality that you have. I'm trying to get there myself in life, but I have I would say the polar opposite relationship with death. It actually brings me so much constant anxiety. Death of loved ones, death of this, death of that. Like it's been that way my whole life, and then the last like year or so, and the way the world has kind of just exacerbated it for me. So actually, yeah. So I'm trying to make much more peace with it. So we mentioned EMDR and stuff earlier, like, but I actually just started going to therapy again to talk about death.
We had so last night we had on Gabby Bernstein. If you're interested, check her out. By the way, I could even connect you guys with her. She's an amazing healer, and because of Maria's situation, is all based on anxiety. And it seemed like I was trying to get the steps out of her because she went through it. She had issues in her childhood, but she said a lot of it originates in our childhood. There's these moments that occur in our childhood that spook us to the point, and then later in life it's the bubbling up. So let's say you're you feel like you're losing control at your job and you start yelling at the people who work for you or whatever. It's something in your childhood where you felt like you lost control. So with you, I advise to find out what that is, but do you have any ideas of what maybe happened as a kid to get you so scared?
Watching Eddie Murphy Raw.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and that's why it's been peculiar to me, because I was lucky enough, at least for right now, I held on to like my I have one grandma left, but even my grandparents I had through a really healthy age. Like I really knew my grandparents, and I lost a couple of friends later in life, but like as a child, I didn't really go through that. So I'm wondering, what it is that makes me have such a hard time, conceptualizing and dealing with this emotion. So I'm just trying to figure it out. I really don't know. But I will say that this form of therapy has worked for me in the past with other like traumatic things that I was dealing with and stuff like that, or things that I didn't realize gave me some type of trauma in the past or what have you. A good friend of mine recommended it. Actually, Jamila recommended it to me.
Yeah.
We were having a heart to heart, and she told me that she really found positive things in it, and so I had never heard of it up until that point. And then I sought it out, and I went, and it really did help me. So I'm just like, it was only like a couple of weeks ago where I was like, I'm having a lot of anxious nights because I have all my parents and everything, and we're all worried about this pandemic. And so I just find myself thinking about it a lot more. So I would want to be proactive. So I started going again as of last week.
Are you doing the tapping?
Well, this is my first session was over Zoom. When I used to go in person, I actually held these,
the electric little, charges.
The vibrating things.
The vibrators, yeah.
And you would push, so I've seen it done with following, like your eyes following or those. And so I did it that way. I'm not really sure how we're going to proceed with it over Zoom, but I'll see. Yeah, we didn't.
It's funny. I've noticed that sometimes if you do engage in it and it's not working, keep working with other people, because I know for me, there's a lady, Patty Penn, that Maria works with, and she's been on the show a lot. And I don't know what it is, but she just gets right in me. So when she does the actual physical tapping, and she has me say things out loud. There's something about the command in her voice
Mm.
that really inspires me. And that kind of command is coming through me as I'm doing. And it really seems to resonate more than, say, with the other people that I've worked with and the like you said, the vibrating tool. So keep trying, people, if you don't feeling it, but it will help.
Very interesting and really important too, because that's one of the conversations I find, the topics that come up when I'm talking about therapy and stuff. And some people are like, I went, it did nothing for me. And I initially, like, I don't consistently go, but I've gone for quite some time. And I didn't realize that, like, oh, just like anything else, you might connect more with a certain therapist than another.
Yes,
and so if you go to someone and it's not working for you, it's not necessarily, it's not therapy. It just might be that kind of dynamic or that connection. And I find that, like, not a lot of people really know that or think that way. I certainly didn't. And then, if you don't give it another chance, you'll never know. But I think it's important to tell people that, because a lot of times, like, I even have friends I try to convince to go to therapy, that I think that would serve them well. And, there's, for some reason, we need to destigmatize, but there's still some people that feel there's some type of stigma with therapy, which is like, it's the best thing in the world. It's like, you want to take care, it's mind, body. You don't just go to the gym to exercise. You have to process things and work your mind out. Otherwise you're not going to grow, and you're not going to, so, which seems like common sense, but a lot of people don't feel that way. So I have no, I talk about it as much as I can if presented the opportunity, because I think it's important for people to know that it's normalize it.
Especially now with the pandemic just brought so much to the level, but I feel like since 9/11 and then, social media, and then shootings in school. I mean, it's just been one thing after another, and we're also connected, and it's 24 hours coming at you, and then it's looking at the neighbors next to you or what people on Instagram, what they're doing. It's too much. And I feel like this is the century we'll focus more on mental health.
Yeah, man.
Joe, do you do anything? Do you engage in any kind of therapy, or is it just the dogs?
No, I'm perfect. No, I definitely I'm like, the dogs for sure, I think help with that. But I think like the family stuff, I find that my children are a big source of happiness in life. And especially when stuff goes, they're also a source of stress, because like you realize that you're providing for, and all that stuff. So I think that gets amplified. But my wife is very much into mental health, and she had been through a couple, like sounds being like a couple therapists, so she found one that she liked. So we have, I get a lot of the benefit of runoff therapy, where I think where she understands how to communicate and help.
Gabby Bernstein had last night on yesterday's show. She had a term for that. Something.
Borrow the benefits.
Borrow the benefits. Yeah. So I think there's something to that, of borrowing the benefits and stuff. But I'm also not. I'm pretty healthy with being aware of how I'm feeling and not holding stuff in and things like that. So I don't know. A lot of my issues don't necessarily come from that angle of it. Like,
I think you know what it is with you, because Maria's dad's like you. You guys practice your EMDR in other ways. So, like Maria's dad, who you guys, I don't even know if you've met, but you'll probably meet him at some point that we're going to be on the East Coast more. But he'll be in the backyard with his headphones on and mowing the grass, and you just see him doing this crazy Greek dance out there alone and singing at the top of his lungs. And, so he had, because we've tried to get him to go to therapy and, 50 some odd years of being a diabetic, and he's literally been pronounced dead 3 different times. And, we've tried, we forced him to certain things, and it doesn't do much for him. But then I watch him and he does these things.
His own form of it. Yeah.
Yes. And then even like he picked up cooking when the mother got sick, and it became his kind of form of meditation. He's very healthy. He's a very happy guy. And he also doesn't he practices the choose again method. So when his mind starts to get into something upset, he chooses again. He chooses another thought. Like I know when Noelle, our first baby, we had to put her down, and he said goodbye to her on FaceTime. I'll never forget, and he loved her. He called her presbytera, which is Greek for a queen. And he just looked into the camera, and he just kind of shook his head and walked away. And when I was younger, I was like, oh, wow, like what? And I realized it was like, choose again. Like, no, okay, she's going. This is part of life, but I don't want to sit in the sadness.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
like, of course I'm crushed. She's, I don't want to sit in the sadness. It's just, so it's kind of, no, I think that's really cool. And I also think that's aspirational for people. Like, it doesn't have to be for everybody, because you can find it in other ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
really cool. You guys are amazing. Right before you go, I want to ask you, my like 5 or 6 faves really quick.
Sure.
So favorite book.
For me and Sal, it's The Dog Father.
Yes,
Joe Gatto.
Yes.
Yeah, right, Sal. You're just going to say that.
Sure.
Where I highlight all my dogs and talk
Joe,
about
you
growing up.
self-published that book, right? You just
Self-published on
yourself.
Amazon. Yes.
And it did well for you, right? Without a publisher and everything.
Yeah. GattoPups.com. You go to it. There's a bunch of places you could even get a signed copy to help charity. But I mean, Sal won't stop talking about it.
Okay. So Sal, your second favorite book.
Oh my God. I read a lot of biographies.
So give me one.
Well, I'm looking at them right now. The last few I read here is I did Ray Charles, Eddie Murphy, Howard Stern, Don Rickles, Andy Kaufman. So those are like
Who's your favorite?
Just people that I really like reading the Andy Kaufman ones. I read like 3 of them already. It's just he's still such an air. There's such an air of mystery to me still, and he's one of my earliest influences too. Kind of like I think that he influenced the sensibility of our show. If I could be so bold as to even say a little bit like something that he did which was keeping people on their toes and always guessing, and
he never blinked.
You kind of weren't sure.
He was the original, right? You just never knew where he was coming from. He stayed true to it. And I swear to God, it cost him his life, you know, emotionally. But yeah, I agree. And I love biographies because you can learn so much.
Yeah. So especially people that I like, really admire, I kind of want to get in there and understand them better. So yeah, it's like
Sal, if you had a choice between an Andy Kaufman biography and reading The Dog Father by Gatto,
it would be The Dog Father.
The Dog Father. And where do we can get it on Amazon, and some of it goes to charity, which I love.
Yeah.
I love. Okay, guys, favorite movie.
Oh, it's so tough.
It's tough. I mean, the one that always pops in my head like all the time when everybody says that is Shawshank Redemption, which it's always because I feel like you said earlier, like Goodfellas, it's one of those that's on, you just watch it. I've probably seen it 1 billion times. Yeah. I think the storytelling's amazing in it, so that's probably if I had to pick one of my favorites is definitely.
Gotcha.
I gotta go. Christmas Story.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Christmas is my favorite holiday.
Mine too.
I'm nostalgic for things from when I was younger. And even when I was that age and it came out, I loved the throwback of like where it took place in like the 50s, just that time period. It just came together to be so many of my favorite things in one thing, so I just kind of love it. I don't know. It's like
Sal, bigger for you than Y Tu Mama Tambien?
Yeah, neck and neck. Okay. But this is then you have like I'll say that one. I have a lot.
Yeah, no, I do too. Like I always, when I'm asked that question, I have to say I have to have a top 5.
Yeah.
We have our favorite in genres.
Yeah. Right.
So it's really hard. And at some point, Sal, we when we do a Christmas show, we need to have you on.
Yeah.
Because I watch all the specials.
Yeah. I was going to say you guys had such a big reaction when I said A Christmas Story. I was wondering why.
Yeah, we love it.
You can listen to Christmas. What's it called? Very COVID Christmas on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, we did. We used to, and then we did one called the Christmas. 24/7. Oh no, Christmas starts in August. We used to do a podcast that started there. Anyway,
I love this, guys. I'm the guy. I
know you are. I
start listening to Christmas music. I listen to Christmas music like year round, but I go hard starting like November 1st. My tree is usually up, hopefully in November.
Yep.
So I'm that guy.
Us and Mariah Carey.
Yeah, you're either with her or you're against her, and I'm with her.
Well, she that's her big thing is November 1st. She's so excited.
Yeah. Oh, is that her thing, November 1st? Yeah.
Oh my God. And Benny Medina, her manager, told me one time she goes, I need a sleigh and reindeers, and I want to be pulled. now, and he made it. He had to make it happen, so her and her family and friends could all get pulled back. And I thought, I love it. I love the madness. Why not?
You know, she's got that. So when that song plays, people are either like, "Oh, I've heard, I hear this too much," or it's just like, "No, it's going to be good every single time." So for me, it's like, I don't care.
Right. Favorite TV show now?
Favorite TV show? Okay, now. I mean, I'm really blown away by the storytelling that's being done in WandaVision right now, and also the impact it has on pop culture. So I would probably say right now, WandaVision.
I know what we're doing this weekend.
Yeah. If you're a Marvel person, I think WandaVision has done a phenomenal job.
Okay, Sal.
Again, I'd be like, there's genres involved here.
But I got a gun to your head. You have to pick one.
You got it. So if it's currently airing, because Nathan For You was my fave, but he stopped doing it.
Oh my God.
So I got to go. Maybe like my newest surprise, like fave, was a show called How To with John Wilson. It's on HBO Max. I think actually Nathan might have exec produced it. It's really unique and really different. This guy from New York City, this filmmaker that always has his camera on, he does these docu episodes about a topic, but then it becomes so much more about something else.
Just like Nathan For You did. He would take it one way and it would go.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, there's so much good comedy out there that how did I almost forget Nathan For You? But yeah.
I'm watching Nathan For You now because Sal's been talking about it for years. Right. I've never seen the whole thing through, and I'm watching it now, and it's so mind-blowing. Amazing. So well done.
We saw him in a parking lot, and I said, Maria, is it gonna be weird if I go up and I just kneel and genuflect in front of him? She's like, do not do that. Do not embarrass me. I'm like, Maria, this guy is unbelievable. All right. Okay. So favorite TV show then?
The Jeffersons, 100%.
For you.
By the way, again, like when you look at some of those sitcom actors from the 70s, even like if you watch an old Gilligan's Island and you see the commitment of these character actors and how you can't imagine anyone else playing those roles. Like you couldn't imagine anyone else being Mr. Jefferson but Sherman Hemsley.
Yeah. Sure. You know, and for me back then, they were like they really played like plays more. Especially the Jeffersons. It felt like I was watching a play. I don't know what it is. It was way more. I don't know the word, but it didn't feel like cookie cutter to me. It felt like I was watching some real like art. I don't know what it is. I mean, granted, it's just silly stuff. It's a sitcom. But I mean, they tackled different issues. There was just a rawness to it. I don't know what it was. It just felt less produced and a little more raw for like in terms of a sitcom. You know,
I mean, just his walk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's funny walking,
right? So, what about you, Joe?
I'm old school. I think I miss the variety show. Carol Burnett for me is hands down my favorite TV of all time. Like I just miss that whole type of show, and that TV show is probably one of the biggest influences, if not that and the Muppet Show, probably on my comedy. And
the Muppet Show.
I love the Muppet Show, dude. I started watching episodes last week again.
Yeah, it's back on. I'm actually just starting to watch it with my. I'm actually starting to watch it with my kids.
And like you would see John Denver and
John Denver.
Everybody.
I just watched the Christopher Reeves app. When I was younger, if you want to go back even further, the Muppet Show, I would say, was like the pinnacle of excitement for me when I was a kid.
Event television.
Like, event television. Couldn't miss it. And in my head, when I was younger, I just remember this rewatching this week, and I was like, the way I processed it as a child is I really felt like those people were coming together in that theater. And like the cameras were on, and I watched it the other day, and I'm like, "Oh wow, this is like so not that." But as a child, you feel like
embodied that
something going on backstage, and the show's going on, in the front, and there's all these people there, and it's like that excitement. With like for me, it was like teeming with excitement to watch that show when I was little.
So I'm a little older than you guys. So the 70s was like Donnie Marie, Captain and Tennille. Yeah. I mean, it was like everyone had a variety. Sonny and Cher, everyone had a variety show. And I always felt like they keep trying to bring them back, if you notice, around the holidays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd love to see you guys do one, but the amount
we
of
tried to do a variety show as concept wasn't bit into, but we'll try again.
Yeah, I think. Well, you know what the secret is, guys. Holiday specials.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, because there's so much work involved in a variety show. The singing, the dancing, the music acts, the guests, learning the things. I know you guys would probably get a high off it because it's kind of like SNL, but you have so much else on your plate. I feel like if you started with just holiday specials and you could do that once a year, be part of Americana. I mean, I'd love to see it like a Joker's variety
Me
show.
too.
I mean, that would be epic.
I like it.
Okay. Then, do you guys listen to podcasts? Do you have a favorite podcast?
Yeah, I listen. Well, I do two myself. One's called Hey Babe and one's called Taste Buds.
Sal, I thought you were going to do it to me what I did to you. You were like, oh, Joe loves Hey Babe.
Joe loves Hey Babe.
I love Hey Babe and Taste Buds. Those are my top two, hands down. Check them out now. They're phenomenal.
Yeah, I started them during the pandemic. I've been meaning to do them for a long time with a couple of my buddies. One's like a food debate show and one just open-ended talking, but they've been really fun. We've been doing them for about 3.5 months now. They're going well. So those have been fun, but I really like The Bonfire, which is actually more of a radio show on Sirius with Jay Okerson and Dan Soder, just two comedians at the top of their game that can immediately begin riffing on anything at its highest level. So I think they're doing really,
they're moving them over to the channel Jim and Samaram, Jim Norton. Yes. And they're gonna be, they're actually investing a lot in that show. It's a great show.
Yes.
Joe, what about you for a podcast?
Besides Sal's two, I don't listen to any other ones.
Nice.
That's really. I don't really listen to many podcasts, but I do listen to, like, if somebody is on a podcast that I like I listen to, if there's a guest, sometimes that's why I would go to a podcast. Like if I find out somebody was on Rogan, I would listen to that episode, or, with Theo Von or something. I don't necessarily just listen to one though.
I would imagine with kids and 9 dogs.
Yeah. Something's got to give.
Sal, may I recommend you Gilbert Gottfried's Colossal Hollywood? It's all classic Hollywood, old stories from Hollywood.
Oh, that's great.
Probably from as back as the 40s, but all the way up to like the 90s. Great writers, like the writers of The Odd Couple. I mean, really.
Does he do that with Frank Santapadre?
He does. He does it with another paisan.
I'm not. Do they have more than one? Because I was on that podcast, but I didn't know if it was called Colossal Hollywood.
I think you were on, but they keep now, because they've run out of people. Like, you've gotten into like newer stuff, and I just have a feeling like as a fan you would enjoy it.
I love listening to him.
And it's a great homage to like the Hollywood of the past. You guys, I can't squeeze any more out of you. Thank you so much. I see so many great things ahead for you guys, and I think this just you guys are just such a great inspiration to not just watching the show, but then even personally. And I just want to thank you for being such an amazing friend to Maria all these years. And I hope she would do, and I would too, but Maria would do anything you guys ever need from her. You can call. Thank God none of you will ever be in trouble, but can you tell me, how many celebrities get in trouble? Call Maria.
Really?
Oh my God! If you knew how many, like,
we got to get into those stories.
That's what we want to hear.
That'll be off air, but like they just have a thing where they'll call Maria, and then Maria calls me in, and we go, okay, what's up? Oh boy, okay, who do we call? Who do we know? All right.
That's a different podcast. That's called Worse Alone instead of Better Together.
Well, because unfortunately we've, being in the entertainment news business, if it bleeds, it leads. That's not Maria. So it already was a bad mix. Maria just wanted to do what we just did, which was talk about the cool things about show business.
Right.
She didn't want to, and so it was hard for her to be in that world. But over time, all the other celebrities kind of knew Maria was watching out for them, because she would call up and go, no, tell your publicist, pull this. Don't. She would always go out of her way to help. And I think people have known that, and they'll come to us. And we've always been a champion of talent, because we've been through it. So when we always want to see talent win, because there's enough for everybody, but it's and I think that's happening now with new media. Talent's getting a fairer and fairer share And it's nice to see.
Yeah.
Have we left anything out, Kelsey
Well,
Meyer?
I need to tell them. Is this going off the mic? So
Yes.
you guys, this is going to air tomorrow, and thank you. And tomorrow's my birthday, so I was super picky who I had on.
Oh, there you go.
Happy birthday.
There you go. Happy birthday. Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you.
your birthday with us. That's
It
great.
was the best. So I appreciate you both. And Sal, I have to tell you, the misery index with your dad talking about you getting hit by a car
Yeah.
killed me so much. I was like, oh my God. So
Yeah.
appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Oh, you guys are great. Thank you so much.
Listen, I'll give you the LA tip when it's your birthday.
Yeah.
In LA,
It's a month.
it's your birthday month.
Birthday month.
I like it.
Because it's all about me. LA, baby. All right, so you guys, it's Misery Index. It's Impractical Jokers. Go to Amazon to buy Joe's book, The Dog Father. Listen to Sal's podcast. Sal, I'm gonna subscribe. What is it again? Your Hey Babe?
Yeah, it's one's called Hey Babe and one's called Taste Buds.
Love it.
And you can find them both on YouTube on the No Press network. We started a little network. So
Ooh.
yeah, little
Yeah,
channel.
it's fancy.
Yeah.
Sal's here he comes, guys. I've been telling you about this kid for a while.
I love it.
Wow.
Oh my God. It's a fun business, you guys, the good side of it. And why not? While you're young, why not? Go for it. I with Maria, the regrets I think are more in that she didn't have the coping tools to deal with the bullshit. But now the more she looks back and it's like, oh my God, I wrestled at WrestleMania. I was at every Oscar. She looking back, it's like, wow, and there's still more to do, but yeah. No,
Well, we appreciate you guys, and being on this type of conversation is always such a breath of fresh air just to talk and reel with you guys. And please give our love to Maria and the family, and our thoughts and prayers with everybody. So
thank you, guys.
Thank you guys.
Oh my God, how amazing are those guys?
I love them.
Right?
They're awesome. They're such humble, incredible beings. It's like you wouldn't expect that from people who have been famous for that long and who are wildly successful. And it's so cool. They're so down to earth.
It's nice to see that behavior rewarded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just that positivity and that lightness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really makes life so much easier. And
yeah.
A lot of successful people will tell you that you will increase your chances of success just by shifting your attitude to be like that. But as we were talking with Sal, he was born that way, it seemed, but they work to maintain it.
Definitely.
Very, very cool. So hopefully we had some tech issues today, and hopefully you fans will continue to bear with us without Maria. Best way you can help us right now and help Maria, obviously send her well wishes, but then please keep tuning in. Please be patient with us. We're going to continue to do our best. We will have Maria back as soon as we can. In the meantime, who are we having on tomorrow, Kelsey?
Oh, tomorrow I'm so excited. We have Tim Storey, who he's Oprah Winfrey's life coach.
Oh, okay.
And he's a ton of people's life coaches. So Tim is an acclaimed author and a speaker, and he's known for inspiring and motivating people of all walks of life, from entertainment executives, celebrities, and athletes to adults and children in the most deprived neighborhoods in the country. He's incredible.
Well, you had me at he's Oprah's life
I know.
coach. So
he's going to come motivate us all. He's really a special person. So I'm very excited.
And you even talked to him on the phone.
He was amazing.
He was amazing, right?
Amazing. I couldn't breathe after. I was so excited.
So cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys, please keep send us your comments on iTunes if you can. At Better Together with Maria, we're going to continue to put out a lot of great clips that will provide you with a lot of life hacks some self-help and some reasons to smile.
That's right. That's what we're here for. And if you guys want to follow them, it's at Joe_Gatto on Instagram, at Sal Vulcano, Kels Meyer too. Hey, Stephen Lemieux photo, Better Together with Maria. Do you say hey? Hi, hey. And then at Better Together with Maria, we're at 11.2, which I'm super stoked about. But you know what I want for my B-Day? I want to be at 11.4 by the end of the day.
And tomorrow is...
today.
Today. Oh my God. See, I forget. Yes. And happy birthday.
Thanks.
But here's the thing. We've decided, because we have a lot going on, forget tech issues, but so much going on in our house and our lives, that it's going to be Kelsey's birthday month.
Yeah. So just you guys wait for the Regular Guy Friday this Friday.
Yes. That's going to be the birthday
all about
show.
Me.
That's going to be the birthday show. Yes. And then we have birthday weekend, and we're not going to.
We do. Wow.
We're going to stretch this out. You have to. Okay,
Thanks,
you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.